This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
This is Optimal Living Daily, finding quality information in a sea of rubbish by Michael Mehlberg of michaelmehlberg.com. I'm your narrator, Justin Malik, reading you blogs every single day of the year. Without further ado, let's get right to it as we optimize your life. Finding quality information in a sea of rubbish by Michael Mehlberg of michaelmehlberg.com. Truth be told, I have an agenda that has everything to do with you. My writing on Modern Da Vinci aims to help you and other readers become better, more knowledgeable, more productive, more confident, and more creative humans. If you're hearing this right now, my agenda is working. If you share this post or subscribe, I'll consider it a great success. Eventually, you'll find another blog to peruse or news article to read. They too will have an agenda. It may be to sign more subscribers, push a political view, or drive sales of a new product. Whatever it is, they wrote every word with their agenda in mind. When you return to Facebook after a long day of surfing the internet for news, every wall post, every forward, and every video link you find has an agenda behind it. Your friends, family, and neighbors post and share for their own reasons, often without thinking, without consideration for their readers, and without wondering whether what they're posting is true. In other words, much of what we consume on the internet is rubbish, utter, unforgiving, relentless rubbish. We're not supposed to read or believe or like or tweet or forward such nonsense, but we do anyways. Why? Because it sounds good and it gets a reaction. Because on the internet, nobody stops you. Nobody will think about what you've written. They will just like your post. They'll get a warm, fuzzy feeling while spreading the nonsense further before they move on with their lives. None of this should be surprising, and on some level, none of this matters. But looking at the bigger picture, we know that the posts and tweets flying around have an effect on both small and big events in life. After all, the way we interact with others is fed by our misconceptions and system of beliefs. World leaders are elected by a populace, educated or not. Walls are torn down when freedoms are restricted. The things we read and choose to believe affect how we treat those around us, how we cast those votes, and how fast we tear those walls down. Of course, we can't fight every snippet of misinformation or uninformed opinion. There's not enough willpower or time to go around. What we can do is cultivate a challenging, questioning attitude while we peruse the internet. By challenging our worldview, we will learn more. By questioning what we read, we will start to get a sense for quality information versus the nonsense. This is easier said than done. Staying alert 100% of the time while under a barrage of hype and misinformation can be a challenge in itself. Here are a few things to keep in mind while reading to maintain that questioning attitude. Number 1, anyone can post anything at any time on the internet. Long gone are the days when the primary information sources came from newspapers and television shows. Sources who, albeit biased like any source, took the time to research their facts and kept their opinions to a separate section. Number 2, others often represent their opinions as facts, but they are still opinions. And number 3, the internet moves fast. Bloggers post new articles quickly, companies release new products daily, and journalists publish news as it happens, not the day after. The result? Information may be unintentionally inaccurate. So what do? How do we find quality information in this sea of rubbish? Doing so may feel impossible, but it only requires that you challenge and question what you read. Ask yourself, what am I reading? A friend's Twitter post, a news article, An opinion blog? Keeping in mind the type of article you are reading will prevent you from mistaking opinion for fact. What is the author's agenda? As we discussed earlier, everything you read is backed by an agenda. Not every agenda is malicious, but you must understand it. Once you know the author's motivations and funding sources, you can better assess the quality of the information at hand. If what you are reading is portrayed as fact, does the author cite sources? Is there evidence? Is it supported? Missing sources doesn't mean the author didn't have any, but an article with sources is far easier to verify. Is the site or article trying to sell you something? This goes back to the motivations of the author. If the author is selling, it's almost impossible to trust them as a source of valuable information. It'd be far better to seek an external opinion. And is the article grammatically correct and free of spelling errors? While grammar and spelling have nothing to do with whether the statements made are fact or fiction, a clean, well-written article shows the author has taken the time to proofread his or her work. They show at least a basic level of care for the content they are publishing. Review poorly formatted, improperly constructed material with caution. Recognize that the author may not have taken the time to verify facts if they didn't take the time to proofread. There's no perfect way for finding pure, unmotivated, quality information. These are a few ways to combat the relentless flow of rubbish and develop a more informed, sensible approach to the information you read. Most importantly, by spending the necessary time to keep the points you heard in mind, you will develop your own conclusions about what you're reading. And creating your own conclusions will, at the very least, arm your knowledge with reason. Additional tools. Number 1, read scientific papers. They are peer-reviewed, controlled to determine cause and effect, and many times use randomization to reduce errors. Google Scholar is an excellent tool for finding such papers. Number 2, find a trusted source and continue to use it. For example, I love using Engadget to read technology reviews. I trust them. I find their reviews to be full of relevant detail. They help me understand new technology far better than a Facebook friend who has an opinion but doesn't understand why they like or dislike the technology. And number 3, spot check information you find. Factcheck.org and Snopes.com are 2 websites built specifically for this. You just listened to the post titled, Finding Quality Information in a Sea of Rubbish by Michael Mehlberg of michaelmehlberg.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher, a new comedy from executive producers of What We Do in the Shadows and Baskets. English Teacher follows Evan, a teacher in Austin, Texas, who learns if it's really possible to be your full self at your job while often finding himself at the intersection of the personal, professional, and political aspects of working at a high school. FX's English Teacher premieres September 2nd on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Want to teach your kids financial literacy, but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
Thank you to Michael. He mentioned his writing on modern Da Vinci. That was the name of his site previously. Now it's just michaelmehlberg.com. I think this is truer now than ever, and likely will become even more true with time. With AI now, anyone can write long-form content very easily, very quickly, where in many cases, probably most cases, that human touch will be gone, and articles will flood the web. What he describes is pretty much exactly why this podcast was created. There were so many articles even back when this podcast was created in 2015. And what my business partner and I tried to do was really find the best ones and get permission from them to read them to you. Our criteria was pretty strict, it still is, because my goal is to have each day be impactful in some way, maybe motivational or inspirational, or just makes you think a little more. Maybe question how we're choosing to live. I figure if we listen to even just one of these every day and sometimes 10 minutes or less, It'll be a step in the right direction and hopefully offset a lot of the stuff that knocks us down. Rubbish, as Michael calls it. And if you ever find a blogger that seems to really bring you up, let me know. We're always open to more. But with that, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow as usual, where your optimal life awaits.